Good evening, everyone. I am so happy to be back tonight. And after a few years, and since I've been here, to share my personal experience related to music and history and opera with you. So as we now have this wonderful exhibition of the first emperor, I would like to share a very moving story with you. The story actually was first told by my grandmother. My parents were involved with Chinese local operas, so they often go to a tour in the country. So when they are with us, so I would begging my father or mother to tell me all those historic stories in the evening. But when they are going to tour, guess who I want? I want my grandma to continue to tell the stories. One of the earliest stories she had told me is the Mengjiang weeping at the Great Wall. In Chinese, called Mengjiang Ku Changcheng. So, as you know, the Emperor Qin Shi Huang, after conquered the 6 other kingdoms, to unify the China, amongst many, many things he did for the country. One of them was quite special, was unifying the currencies and also had a lot of money to build the armories and the defense force because to fend off the invaders from northern and west. Mengjiang is the story comes from southeast, today in China, in terms of Zhejiang and Jiangsu province. Qin Shi Huang, since gaining power, he is built a great wall. So every year he sent so many generals, armies, and the troops to capture, to search the young men who are strong and young, so he forced them to build the Great Wall. This story is talked about Mengjiang just has been married her husband, Wan Jiliang, just for 1 month, and he was forced into the labor. Their home is southeast, but he was sent to far, far northwest, close to Inner Mongolia border. So later, I had encountered with lots of folk musics. One of the music is Mengjiang is the folk song. The story is, the poem says like that. Spring is the festival time. Every family hang up the red lantern. Husband, wives, and families gather together in the loving environment, celebrating. But Mengjiang's husband is sent a long way to build the Great Wall. Since after the marriage, Mengjiang and Jiliang was very much in love, very, very happy. But he sent long way, and Mengjiang was worried, thinking every day, every night about her husband. But after many, many months, there's no news about him. Here comes the summer. The song sings like this. In the summer, the heat was unbearable, and mosquitoes attacking me, unmerciful. If you have the bite, you bite me 1,000 times, but spare my husband a single beat. So that's how much the deep love she is for her husband, Jiliang. And soon turns to autumn. Still, she hasn't got any news about her husband. And the cold winds penetrating her weak body, and she was so worried. And she decided she's going to sew a winter clothes for her husband. And she decided that she's going to deliver it to her in the faraway border. Each day, each night, she's hurry up to sewing these clothes, and she wept and she thanks him. And she sings that each single needles and is my cell craving for you, and each thread are my longing for you, my dear husband. Very soon she has finished this winter clothes, and she packed up on her way. Now, as I said, her home is very down southeast, and Jiliang was very, very far north. It's close to Inner Mongolia border. In those times, you know, there's no car, no wheels. She can't afford a horse, of course. She can only go by 2 feet. So she walked, and walked. Many months, many days, and she arrived in the border. She asked the people, "Have you seen my husband, Jiliang?" People said, "No, we don't know who's Jiliang." And she walked again. "Have you seen my husband, Jiliang?" "No, we don't know him. We don't know about him." She asked, and asked. Finally, one man said, "Your husband, Jiliang? Yes, I think I remember him a few months ago. Tell me where he is." "I think he's dead." "What?" And suddenly she realized that he is never going to reunite with her again. Qin Shi Huang's officials and soldiers and armies often have beaten those constructors, labor young men. It's a very, very horrid condition, was very inhumane. Many of those young men, they died to build the Great Wall of hunger, malnutrition, and illness or accident. So obviously, Jiliang was one of them. Meng Jiang was wept, and she realized that her husband dying without knowing that how much she had loved him, and how much she longed him, and how much she had put all her love to make those winter clothes. And she wept, and somehow the crying has touched the heaven and earth. One day, suddenly, since she was crying, the part of the Great Wall was collapsed. Huge rubble has fell off, and Meng Jiang was crying. So people are thinking that that was a curse to Emperor Qin Shi Huang because he was so cruel. Many men has died. Now, because of her crying, part of the Great Wall was collapsed. Originally, the story ends in here. But of course, as a young child, I have never satisfied with, that's it? What happened with the Meng Jiang? What happened with the emperor? So then my grandma said, well, there's a few tales after that. People said that since the Great Wall was collapsed and Qin Shi Huang's officials quickly reported him in the palace. So he was outraged that how dare a common woman, weak woman, could cry for the Great Wall to be collapsed. So he hurried up, he went to the site. And people were gathering and saw, wow, that has collapsed the Great Wall. So Qin Shi Huang was very angry. No. How dare you that you have cried out that collapsed the Great Wall, and don't you dare and afraid of death? And suddenly, he was realized how beautiful Meng Jiang is, how youthful and beautiful. Also, she has this incredibly aura. And he was suddenly captured and infatuated with her. And he was pretend that offered her condolences and sorry, oh, your husband dead anyway. But would you like to come to the palace with me, living with me? Needless to say that he wants her to be one of the concubines. Meng Jiang says, I would rather die to give myself to a killer who murdered my husband. So Qin Shi Huang was again mad and lost. You are talk to the emperor. Don't you dare. Don't you afraid that you're going to die. Mengjiang said, I would rather die. I would rather die to meet my husband in heaven. So as she said that, suddenly the Great Wall was split in two sections. And there is a big gap, deep gap in between them. Mengjiang crushed herself into the rebels and killed herself. And soon as she died, and the rebels emerged into one again, and Mengjiang's body was buried beneath rebel. So I could not ask any more about my grandma. So by that time, I was crying. I was weeping, actually. So that's the very, very sad story of Mengjiang. There was some special cartoon-like operas about Mengjiang weeping at the Great Wall. Also, there's some long folk songs on that. But as an opera, I have never seen the opera yet. But there's many opera related to Emperor Qin Shi Huang, of course. And because I was brought up in the theater, my both parents involved with Chinese operas. So whenever they need a dog or cat or rabbit or whatever, it was me. For me, the stage was magic. So when my grandma, just using very plain language, told me about the weeping and the kneading, sewing, and also the lanterns, everybody was happy in the spring festival times, and she was longing for her husband. I could just imagine how sad is that. And later, when my parents came back, of course, many times I had to perform the little rabbit and little devils. And one of the very funny thing is they need a young child to be the spirit. So when you do the spirit, you know, in Western opera, sometimes when you have complete darkness, you have this light shining, so you create a very good silhouette. But in Chinese operas, actually, they are very, very special technique. If you really want to make a fire, like a dragon, like fire, you choose a little bit paper inside have some chemical. Those chemicals, when reach the temperature of 36 degrees, it burns. So when I hold that piece of paper into my tongue, I have to wait until the burning, I could not bear. I have to pull out. So that was the flame the young child could blow. Actually, that is one of kind of a magic. And in the end, I performed about 33 operas in the opera school. Slowly, and transformed into the Western opera. Is a great honor and a privilege for me to knowing that the traditional opera is associated with a lot of magic and stylist, and also those kung fu's and physical activities. Later in Western opera, that you need to have so much grandness and also the sound of understanding, the beautified sound, because in Chinese opera there are no microphones or amplifier the sound system as well. All they need is very, very strong gong, so that could inform the lots of faraway villages that the Chinese opera is going to be happening. With those makeups, lots of times they have to be exaggerate, have those red face and white faces. So that is kind of the special element, because each character represent a special stories and special singing German called Fach, which is category of your characterized. So I am as a soprano, and in Chinese opera it's called 轻衣. So Chinese opera is very, very light, like that. But the Western opera is very ground, like that. So it's fascinating for me. Every time when I have solo recitals, and all of those organizations ask me to sing some Chinese and sing some Western as well. So I'm going to demonstrate a little bit in both for you. Okay, the first one is Chinese folk song. It's quite old folk songs close to Mongolia border. It's called the herdsman song. It's in Chinese Mongolian herdsman pastoral song. The singing words is called blue, blue skies floated wide, wide clouds. Beneath the white clouds is a shimmering white snowfall sheep running. The sheep are scattering in the field like silver sparkling. The vision like that melts my heart. We are the herdsmen. Sky is our dwelling and earth is our bed. We are so happy in our homeland. So here comes 牧歌. Thank you. Now, the next is not opera, but is close to very, very to my heart. Is spiritual song. It's one of my very, very normally uncle song. Is "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot." Swing low, Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you. That's a little prelude. I do apologize. I did not bring more CDs here, but you may purchase online on ABC Classics. And I hope one day I could have special recital at here, so you can hear me properly. Thank you.